All right, Monarchs. So last video we left off on example 1D. We had just kicked our friends out of our house. We had just moved the 6 to the other side of the equals sign. We are now at 4x equals 16. I need to get my x by itself. Right now this 4 is attached to it. That's my lover, so I need to kick him or her or whatever out. In order to do that, I need to do the opposite operation. We know that when a number is right next to our variable, it is multiplying that variable. And the opposite of multiplication would be division. So we're going to divide both sides. Oh, excuse me. We're going to divide both sides by the number that is multiplying our variable. So in this case, we're going to divide both sides by this 4. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 4 here, divide by 4 there. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that cancels out. I'm just left with x. I'm going to bring down my equal sign, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. So my final answer to that problem would be x equals 4. Okay. Let's take a look at E. E is a little bit more complicated. Okay. As you can see, E has this fraction here. Okay. But don't panic. I will show you guys exactly what we need to do for this fraction. All right. So first I want to think about, all right, what do I need to move across that equals sign first? So I think of my rule. I always remove addition and subtraction first. Here's my addition and subtraction. Those are my friends. They're the ones who are not attached to me, right? They're not attached to me. So I need to kick them out first. I remove addition and subtraction first. Okay. So in order to move that plus 6 to the other side of the equals sign, I need to do the opposite operation. The opposite of a plus 6 would be a minus 6. So I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides of the equals sign. Okay, so I did a minus 6 on both sides of the equals sign. 6 minus 6 is 0, so I'm just left with 1/3 x in my equals sign. Okay, so 1/3 x equals, and negative 8 minus 6 is negative 14. Okay, so now I have 1/3 x equals negative 14. So instead of dividing both sides by 3, or by 1/3, which is what I should do, right? That 1/3 is multiplying my x. In order to move it to the other side, I should divide both sides by 1/3. I'm going to do what's called fraction busting. And when we fraction bust, we just multiply by the number that is on the bottom of the fraction. We multiply everything by the number that's on the bottom of the fraction, by the denominator. That is this number right here. Okay. So in order to fraction bust, we're going to multiply everything in this equation by 3. Okay. So I'm going to do this times 3. And I'm going to do this times 3. All right. So when I multiply this times 3, these cancel out. So I'm just left with 1x or x. And that's why we did that. We got rid of that fraction because we multiplied by the number that was on the bottom, or by the denominator. The number that's on the bottom of a fraction is called the denominator. Okay. So I multiplied everything by 3. And when I multiply by 3, these 3's cancel out. And that's why I'm left with 1x. That's why I wanted to fraction bust. Okay. When I multiply negative 14 by 3, I know it's going to be a negative number because I have a positive number times a negative, and I know that will always give me a negative. Okay, so if I was to put that in my calculator, I would get x equals negative 42. Okay. So the correct answer to this problem would be x equals negative 42. Okay, so we fraction busted at the end there. That was the only difference to get rid of that fraction. Okay. Let's take a look at example 2. Example 2, we are translating again. It says translate the verbal model and solve. Okay, so the biggest difference, just like yesterday, is we are solving after we translate the words into numbers. We are solving. Okay, so I want to start by my translation. So it says the sum. So if we remember, the word sum means addition. Okay, if we didn't know that, we could look it up, or we could go back to that sheet that was our first day. The word sum means addition of 14 and 3 times is multiplication. So I'm going to put my dot. A number, I'll use x for this one, is, remember, is always my equals sign, 29. Okay, so now that I've translated above that, I want to bring that down below and write it like it should be written. Obviously, it should not be written plus 14, 3 times x equals 29, right? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to have to move that addition sign somewhere, and I will explain that in our next video. Okay, so stay tuned for lesson 2.2 video 4.